get a lawyer, what do they like basically tell you your situation is?
So he's like, look, they don't have a very good case. The feds picked it up because they want you, but the volume of money, they were like, oh, this guy's working for a cartel. Like give us your plugs and you'll walk tomorrow. You know, like they assumed I was selling heroin and cocaine for a little bit, and I was like, I promise you I'm not. You know, so they were putting the squeeze on me, but after I just didn't cooperate, he's like, you don't want to. He advised me. He was like, and he's not like one of these like no snitching lawyers. He's like, I would advise you to cooperate if it was in your best interest. It's not because they don't have much, and once you start going to work for the feds, like you work until they say you're done. There's no contract that says, yeah, hey, you snitch on 5 people, give up 5 people, and then we're good.
They
like
just take you for whatever.
You jump until we say you could stop jumping.
Right.
So I recommend just hold out. I had no bail, right? My passport was seized. I was locked up 23-1 in the Multnomah County Justice Center in downtown Portland.
And did you even have anybody that you could have told on, or was it kind of kept at arm's length?
I mean, look, if they had let me out, I could have been like, hey, I'll bring you down to this little town, to this hotel room of guys I don't know. I had phone numbers. Like they seized bags full of cell phones, full of burner phones. Like they walked out with 2 gigantic Ziplocs worth of, trap phones, right?
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, they thought they had caught somebody that was way more connected than I actually was. So I just kept my mouth shut for a month, and they would send a guy like every 3 days. I get a knock on my cell door. Hey, Mitchell, you got to visit. I'm like, is it my lawyer? Nope. And so it was, one of these guys from the DEA, one of these young guys, and they're like, you ready to do this? You want to get out of here, right? And I was like, I can't help you. And so we made a deal. We turned over all the money. I forfeited more money that they hadn't found the day I got arrested. And we just pushed it over to the DEA, and they dropped it. The feds dropped the case, and they gave it over to the state.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So now the state, we can fight the state in court. So we didn't. We ended up, because I was already on probation. I knew I was going down anyways. Even if they found me not guilty of what they arrested me for, my probation officer revoked me. So I'm going away regardless.
Right.
So I just kept the game tight, stayed in the county for like 8 months, which was a long time for me. I had never done real time.
Right.
Ever. So doing 8 months in the county is like doing 3 years in terms of like the torture of it.
Yeah.
It's like being in prison for 3 years.
Just because it's so hectic and there's new people coming in and out all the time.
The fighting.
Yeah.
The gang banging.
More fighting in the county than in
most definitely.
Really?
Oh,
even in Oregon?
10 times.
Really?
Yes.
What are the gangs like in there?
They're banging in there. You got Southsiders, you got the Northerners, and they're all from California, because they all come up to Oregon to sell dope, because there's no competition and the price is higher. Right. So you got your old school black guys. You get this guy's fighting a cold case. They want to give him the death penalty. You got this guy over here is coming off heroin. He's shrieking at night. They're beating him up, trying to make him shut up.
Okay, but in the county jail as a white dude, you're left alone, or are you expected to get down?
No,
or what?
left alone.
Yeah.
Like you can choose to bang if you're a dumbass or not.
But you're around white power dudes and like crazy white gang members?
So I had to fight. Like you can't be in there without fighting. So my first day, I'm fighting this big white power dude.
Why you gotta fight a white guy? Well, you gotta keep it within your
you keep it within the race. Yeah. So got a stand-up fade. Right. It was pretty even. Like he got me a little bit.
Did you feel like he was giving it his all?
Oh yeah. Yeah. We were gassed at the end. Like the cops came into the bathroom and they were like, okay, break it up. And we were like, oh, thank you. You know what I mean? Gas, right? And then I was in there long enough to where I would just go get in a fight with a guy just so I could go to solitary for a week just to jack off. You know what I mean? Because I'm so sick of being in a dorm surrounded by these people.
Oh, because you're with so many different people in the county.
Yeah. Wow. So I just need some jack time.
Yeah.
One of the guys I even set it up.
The beating off?
No.
Oh, getting in trouble.
The fighting.
Yeah.
The like just punch each other in the face a couple times.
Do you think you're like a masturbation addict or something?
What's that? Yeah. Right. Well, I am. I absolutely am.
I mean, going a week has got to be pretty shitty.
Yeah. It is. But
with
it's
nothing to do. No other way to get a dopamine hit.
No, you have to either be on like some kind of pills. If you're coming down from heroin, they'll give you methadone, which is sick. I'm like, I wish I was a junkie.
Yeah.
So then I at least could, get some kind of hit other than beating my own syphilitic penis.
Didn't occur to you to
by the way, I had the clap too. I had chlamydia.
What?
I had just raw dogged a few days before getting arrested.
Oh, it's the
I went
worst
raw,
feeling.
and now I'm literally my dick is dripping and
you
aching.
can't just go to the clinic.
Dude, no, and I would go down to medical. I'd be like, guys, I have a STD, and they were like, just take some Tylenol, we'll be fine, dude. So I had to go back there like 4 times, and I almost had to get my lawyer involved so they would give me some penicillin.
Yeah, why are they being so stingy?
Oh, because it's the state. Their whole, it's like going to the welfare office. Their whole thought process.
Minimize
this
expenses.
Guy's lying.
He's lying.
Minimize expenses, and everybody who asks you for medicine is lying. So you have to keep going back there and fighting for yourself.
I mean, the best,
so it's torturous.
Like chlamydia is like the worst feeling. It just you pee and it feels kind of chunky.
Yeah.
It just feels weird in your dick. But I never like consciously had it for more than like a day without just immediately going to the walk-in clinic and getting it taken care of.
Oh, in the free world?
Yeah.
If a dime piece, if one of the bitches from your show, you and your lovely wife show, was like, I have chlamydia, but you can smash me raw right here, I'd be like, yo, I'm in. And I go make an appointment and take care of it.
Back in my partying days, I did have that, and I threw on a condom for once in my life and hit this girl with a or no, I think she had yeast infection.
Yeah.
And it kind of stunk.
Ooh, that smell.
Yeah, I don't like it. That was doing a lot of coke, so I probably didn't really like notice.
That's hipster.
Yeah.
You know you're in Brooklyn when you're smashing a yeasty, and it's cool.
Yeasty Boys.
Yeah. Pioneered.
That's a popular bagel truck out here.
Yeasty Boys?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, shout out to them. They probably would love the context of the shout out. But
yeah, of course.
But so, okay, you're in there for 8 months. You're kind of losing your mind.
Yeah.
Were you thinking at times like, shit, maybe I will just become a crazy informant? Or are you just like, I gotta ride this out?
And bro, and when I saw the respect I got from A, fighting, B, my crime, just being, because there are not a lot of guys like me in county jail.
Yeah, because
like
the white guys are big Neanderthal racist dudes,
retards,
or crackhead junkie homeless type dudes.
Yeah, and there's a lot of black crackheads. There's a lot of black gangbangers and Latinos as well. So to have a guy like me, especially in state prison, like, oh, that's unusual. So that got me respect right there.
And I would assume that like your IQ would make you really stand out. That like,
for sure,
to them, they're kind of like, oh, this guy, he's a lot smarter than the average bear. He's going to be able to help us with various things.
Yeah, I used to write letters home for people that were illiterate. I used to just chop it up with people about what I was going to do when I got out. I was writing screenplays, so I would show people like, I don't know, this is crazy, but this is what I want to go do. Like, I want to go to Hollywood. I used to talk about that.
Yeah, I realized how crazy it was because I had a homie who got locked up when we were in our early 20s, and I remember he came out. He was a pro BMXer at the time, and he came out, and he was like, "You know how on my dick they were because I've been to Paris." Like literally, he's like, the fact that I've been to Paris to them was like the most interesting thing in the world. And we're both, even in my early 20s, I'm like, who the cares? Like that's not. I thought traveling was super cool, but I didn't think it was like that admirable. And I'm realizing like, oh, you're dealing with a crowd who ain't seen shit.
Paris, try Seattle, dude.
Yeah.
They're like, wow, this guy gets out 3 hours north.
Right. So, okay, but the whole time you're doing that time too, you know that it's going to be counted against whatever your actual sentence is, right?
I was worried because they the math up a lot. You think the government is like has their shit together when it comes to like, oh, this is your time served, they call it, right? They don't. So because I'd heard about people serving what they call dead time, like they're some kind of legal loophole to where they're fighting their case for 2 years, and they get adjudicated and they get sentenced to 10, and their paperwork says their out date is 10 years from the day they got sentenced. That's the worst feeling ever, to be doing time that doesn't count. Nightmare. Oof. Your life's just day after day. The toilet is flushing and your life is disappearing.
Nightmare scenario.
Nightmare, man. I don't recommend it, but I don't take back anything I did. I mean, if I got away with it.
Was there part of you, I think like there's a urge in every young man to have a hero's journey, to go out into the world, do something that'll make a difference, that'll change shit up. I think you becoming a drug dealer was probably partially that. It's like, how am I going to not just be this boring ass dude? How am I, I want to do something exciting with my life. Seeing $1 million off selling weed, is that. But then going to prison for X amount of years, that's really that, because you're just not a regular guy after that.
No, Adam, that is the best question I've ever been asked.
Really?
For talking about people interviewing me about what happened.
Oh, that's good.
Absolutely. That is, though, because every person, especially if they want to achieve something, how they think about themselves is what happens.
Yeah.
I know it sounds hokey, but I truly believe it. So I absolutely was creating my identity around this rebellious outlaw, drug dealer.
It's just funny because you don't like present that way in any other way. Like, there's all kinds of things that you could be doing if you wanted to give off a more menacing vibe.
Yeah.
Which you don't seem to really be embracing.
It never crossed my mind, because it's not who I am. Yeah. But when I was sitting in jail, like the second night I was in there, I'm reading my paperwork, and I'm just done. I'm sick, as we said. But I'm looking at that paperwork. It says United States versus John Mitchell. And I was like, wow, I really did this. Like, imagine coming from that, like dime bags when you're 16 to now I'm important enough to where the government of the United States wants to intervene.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, I could do this with something else, maybe.
There's definitely been times doing interviews where I realize how strong the desire for affirmation is through young dudes in gangs, that they get caught or they get shot at or some shit like that, and it just stands out to them as this is validation. And when you get to that point where that little validation is all that it takes to satiate your ego, that to me is that just has to go right deeply to the core of why you got into this in the first place, is that you wanted to be something. And the court case or getting shot at is concrete proof that you were worthy of, you're a real man, I guess.
Ego. Which all is driven by ego. At least for me, wealth was the driving motivation, especially when I saw how much money could be had that was on the table. So I like to think at least I made my time. The crime was worth it. 99% of people that I was locked up with, I'm like, oh my God, you're here for what? For how long?
Beat your wife.
Smacking your bitch.
Yeah, exactly. You got to take a little bit of aggression out. That made you feel good for about 5 seconds.
Or getting shot at, shooting at a dude. Now you have 5 years because you busted at somebody, and over what? Nobody has any money. Everybody's broke. There's no education. It's a mess.
It's crazy though, because to some extent, the dude who goes and does 5 years for shooting at somebody gets a bunch of respect and positive affirmation in his environment. The problem is a lot of those dudes get locked up for so long that by the time they come back, nobody's left to give a
No, and by the time after 20 years, you grow up. Everybody, unless you're like a real psychopath, everybody, killers, big time drug kingpins, they all change. They all grow up and say, "Oh man, this isn't the way, youngster." But nobody listens.